Hi, Saad, are you talking? Hello?
Oh, I was on mute. That's terrible. All right. Where was the last part that I left? Did you hear any part of what I said?
No.
Great. Okay. Let me start from here then. So I wanted to make sure that we had all the things that we needed for the sidecar containers unblocked. So for 0.40 to be cut, there was there was an issue that Patrick discovered, and Jan helped fix that and indicated that it was no longer a blocker for cutting the sidecar containers because there were no changes required on the sidecar containers. And the other blocker was these dependencies that needed to be updated. Looks like all of them have been merged except for the external provisioner.
I'm actually waiting for Luis to cut external snapshotter first because external provisioner depends on external snapshotter.
Got it.
So I'm not sure if I don't know if it's better to just add a tag just for on snapshotter so that it can be used for in the provisioner, or do we need to wait for the official
I
tag?
think it should be okay either way. Could you point just to the 04 release branch?
But that will be changing, right? Because we thought it's better just to point to a tag instead of a branch, right?
Point to the 40RC1 tag.
But that's not the latest because everything else is later than that now. So.
Got it. And were the dependencies updated in Snapshotter already?
Yeah, that's already merged.
Okay. So yeah, let's ping Luis to then cut this.
Okay.
Cut the snapshotter first, then go ahead and update your external provisioner, and then you can go ahead and cut the rest of them as well.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks.
Next up is the tests that we had remaining, which were snapshots, end-to-end tests, and topology end-to-end tests. Any updates on either of those?
I think I'm still waiting for Jean to take a look.
Okay.
I'll ping her again.
Cool. Thank you. And
I'm working on it.
Perfect.
Oh, you are working on it? Okay.
I'm working on the topology.
Oh, yours. Oh, okay. Topology. Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
All right. And then for this issue, we decided not to go forward with the fix for it. We'll pull off the Band-Aid early and force people to implement the no get ID now rather than wait. So we're not going to accept this PR. We need to follow up on that. So we'll go ahead and stop tracking that here. And the other post 112 tasks documentation looks like it's been merged. Jan, are you on the line?
Yeah, I'm here.
Did we end up getting end-to-end tests for the new attach and workload features?
I have end-to-end test for skipping attach. I don't have end-to-end test for the workload.
Okay.
Yeah. I have more. Yeah. This is Patrick. I have one more questions about the documentation. I think the one that is merged is good enough to get the example working.
Okay.
But I think we still need better documentation for the RBAC rules, permissions, and all of that under the various different scenarios that are supported. And I'm not sure whether we have any decision where to do that, whether it should be in the sidecar containers or in the docs repository. I created a new issue for that in Kubernetes CSI docs number 62, because when I looked at the code that was merged, I noticed, for example, some minor discrepancy between the leader election rules that Jan added to the Kubernetes repo and the one that is now used by the examples. The examples are basically too broad, to request too large set of permissions, and we could tighten that. So in that sense, it's not a perfect example of how it actually should work in practice.
That's okay. That's good feedback. So documenting RBAC rule or clarifying.
Yeah, we basically need a plan for where we want to do that. We talked also in the end-to-end testing, for example, that now some rules are encoded in source code, which should be moved to manifest. But then the question is, where is the authoritative location of the correct set of rules? Where do we maintain that? Is it in the driver repos? Is it in Kubernetes? Is it in the docs repository? Yeah, that's a bit open.
Yep, that's good. That's a good question.
I would vote for keeping it along with the sidecar containers, because the RBAC rule is going to change in response to the logic changes inside sidecar containers. Like, for example, if the leader election code for external provisioner moves to using a lease, we're not going to use endpoints RBAC rules anymore. If we leave it in documentation, there's in a doc repo, we're going to have more maintenance burden.
Well, yeah, I agree that there are pros and cons to both sides. If it's in the sidecar containers, then users will have a harder time getting a complete understanding of what they actually need to do. That's what the value of a complete example is. I guess it can be done both ways. If we have it in the sidecar containers, we still need to have a working example and then link to the original documentation and manifests that are done elsewhere.
Right, I think
I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. I think the sidecar container that's currently missing that completely. It wasn't the one done by Jan, the other one.
The external provisioner.
Yeah, that one.
I think one of the tasks that we have this quarter is to move the CSI RBAC rules and basically do all the work around this. We have not gotten an owner for it yet. I am still looking for an owner. Patrick, would you be interested in owning it?
Yeah, I can do that.
Awesome.
And I also want to work on the end-to-end tests that they actually use for manifest files. I started doing that with some of the with a pull request that we didn't use in the end, which is fine. I'll just need to get the code that I had in that branch and rebase it and move some more things out of code into manifests. And if we know where it is, we can make sure that those things get done first. But yeah, assign it to me.
Okay. The last thing I want to discuss on this is that I think there was some confusion about whether we could actually deprecate the roles that are predefined in the Kubernetes code base. So maybe we'll have to set up a meeting or ping Jordan Liggett on Slack to figure that out to make sure that we're okay moving away from that.
We had this one open issue about where I pointed out that it's not currently working for the upcoming release, and that has been closed because we basically updated we updated the test to make it work again. And that issue has a good summary, I think, from David. And I think the conclusion there was that we just can't use the pre-built, pre-configured rules anymore because it depends on too many things that can't be anticipated by Kubernetes core. And therefore,
That
yes, long term
completely
they
makes
need to be
sense.
deprecated.
So then the question is, can we deprecate? I think that was the last unanswered question was, if we delete those roles from the Kubernetes code base, is that allowed? Or is it considered an API with a deprecation policy?
Yeah, that's something that we would need to clarify. I think Jordan was actually in favor of deprecating it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he will push back, but
Okay.
it's just a matter of how to do it.
Okay. Could you post on that thread and ask Jordan and see?
Yeah. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you. So that brings us to these other tasks for Q4. P0 is moving the API objects to V1. Jan, any update on this?
No, I haven't started yet.
No worries. And is Vlad on the line? Doesn't look like he is. CRD installation mechanism. I still need to follow up on this. So the plan here is for the immediate term, I'm going to try to use the add-on manager to pre-install the CRD. And then longer term, I have a meeting. I'm going to attend the API machinery SIG meeting on Wednesday and ask them to see if they will take on this work for this quarter. Most likely they're going to send me to SIG cluster lifecycle, and I'll go around asking for somebody to own this long term. But in the meantime, to unblock us, I'm just going to use the add-on manager to pre-install the CRD. Then Deep gave us an update on Friday. He's been working with Chang to start the topology work. They've identified 2 pieces of work so far. Chang, any update on that?
I haven't seen any PRs or anything like that just yet.
Okay. And do you think there's anything else beyond the 2 things highlighted here?
I have a giant list of most things are like little cleanup things.
Okay.
There are some design work that needs to be done that I plan to drive as well.
Okay.
But it's the implementation. These 2 are the 2 major ones.
Okay. And it sounded like David started implementing this topology stuff on the driver for GCE PD. Was he able to unblock whatever issues he ran into?
I think he did that last quarter already, didn't he?
Oh, okay. I thought there was something about, like, he had some questions for you last week.
Don't quite remember.
Okay, we can follow up on that. And then snapshots, Xing and Jing have been making excellent progress on that with their weekly meetings. And any update on that, Xing?
Well, so I think we can cross out the resource quota for this quarter because it's going to be next quarter.
Okay.
Yeah, then that the CSI topology, we have that spec there.
Yep.
And we will also start a design discussion of consistency groups.
Cool.
So yeah, that's the hook, and also there's the grouping concept that we are talking about that will be in addition to that.
Okay. There's a lot of work this quarter.
Yeah. So I think it's a lot. The last one, it's good to start discussion now.
Yeah. True. I think this one is, the good thing about starting the discussion now is to see if there's any API changes required. Lifecycle hooks kind of stuff tends to cause API changes, and it's good to get those locked down early rather than later.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And for the consistency group stuff, that's a whole set of APIs if we want to do that. So we can talk about that or next time or next
Do you want to
snapshot
track these as two separate items or a single item?
They're actually separate. The hooks and the consistent groups are two
Got it.
separate items.
Cool. Thank you very much. And then thank you, Patrick, for taking ownership of moving the RBAC role definitions from Kubernetes to external repo. I think we've established the next steps here. So we're looking good. Then CSI entry, moving the CSI driver and CSI node info objects from alpha to beta. This is going to be blocked on the CRD installation mechanism. So I need to go look into that. And then Vlad is not here to give us an update on the inline volume stuff. And we're going to ask Luis this quarter to split up the driver registrar into separate commands so that it's easier to understand and use. And then I am working to get CSI to 1.0. As a reminder, for those of you who have made contributions to the CSI spec, there is a new CCLA that must be signed. It's one per company. If you've made a contribution to the CSI spec, please make sure to sign that. If you don't know what that is, reach out to me and I can share the document with you. And finally, CSI migration. David and Deep are both working on that. I believe David is working on the translation library at the moment. Anything else we want to discuss today? Okay, cool. Then you get 6 minutes back in your day. Thank you very much. We'll reconvene on Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.